they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and let's say they mess around and lose, because I think they're gonna lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think they're going to the finals. You know what the next question is Monday morning, that first day back. It's gonna be about JT and Brown. Yeah. It's gonna be about do we keep these two together? And that's gonna be the question. That's gonna be the very next question. You know how that happens.
Who do you see? Who do you see meeting them in the Eastern Conference Finals and beating them 4 times?
Y'all gonna hate my answer.
He gonna say Milwaukee.
He gonna say the Knicks. He gonna say the Knicks.
Milwaukee.
I'm saying the Bucks. Taking the Bucks out the East. Taking the Bucks out the East. I like the Bucks.
They have been undefeated since
J-Rob, would you say that this Bucks team is better than the 2022 Bucks team? Would you say it's better?
I think the offense could be more explosive. I don't think defensively is better, but I think they can. This team can be more explosive offensively. I'm taking the Bucks purely off the fact that I think now they're finally starting to hit their stride post All-Star break. I think that was important. I think they needed to reset, understand, figure out a bit of an identity. But the reality of it to me is, I think going into the postseason, I think I might trust the duo of Giannis and Dame a little more than I trust the duo of JB and JT.
But that's the difference, though, J-Rob. You don't have to trust the duo of JB. You got to trust that whole unit, because that whole unit is better than what Milwaukee is doing. Plus, on top of that, defensively, they're a much better team. And I knew this was going to happen, Sturdy. What you just brought up about them being undefeated, I knew this was going to happen, because I told y'all dudes what the Milwaukee schedule looked like. I told you what it looked like.
You did.
I told y'all, and the same thing is going on with the Warriors. The same thing is going on with the Warriors.
But still, you got to acknowledge this. You got to acknowledge this. Since they got Doc Rivers, 14 games now, been a top 5 defense. That's not a fluke. You don't just turn that on.
And Sturdy, let's be honest. Let's be honest about some things, Chill. Let's be honest about some things. I could understand you may look at the schedule, but we have both been athletes. You know, what happens once you find some sort of rhythm, you may have to beat on a few bad teams to find your identity. But once you find that identity and get it rolling, it's going to be. I think this team is going to find their stride. And let's be real. Let's not act like we didn't see this last year with the Los Angeles Lakers post the trade deadline. They found a few pieces, didn't know who they were yet, figured it out, found their stride, overachieved in the playoffs. I'm also going to say this: the best player in this series, and you can say what you want, is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Giannis has already shown us he can single-handedly dominate a series. And I understand his team stuff and things of that nature, but I think in a 7-game series, if I got to take Milwaukee and Giannis or put my money on JT and JB, I'm going to take the Bucks and Giannis, because
didn't we just see the Celtics do that to Milwaukee? Did we not see Jayson Tatum go into Milwaukee and put 46 on them in an elimination game? Did we not see that? Did we not see
on a better Bucks team? On a better Bucks team?
What are we doing, J-Rob? Come on, man. It's not like
that team they saw, that version of the team they saw in 2022 was not better than this team. That team was missing Chris Middleton. That team was shooting 30% from 3.
Thank you. Right. Let's talk about it.
Now,
the Bucks got some things to prove, man.
This Bucks team.
I'm talking about the 2022 Bucks being better than the current Bucks.
Yeah, Middleton was out.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Middleton was out. No, I don't think an injured Middleton team in 2022 was better than this version of the Bucks. I do not think that.
I'm talking about their starting 5. If they're starting 5, their team's being healthy compared.
Hold on. So what Sturdy just said, to compound that Bucks team in 2022, that Bucks team today is better than that one. This Boston Celtics team is much better than that 2022 Buck. That 2022. Jayson Tatum is better. Jaylen Brown is better. Porzingis is better. Derek White is better. All of these guys are much better than what those teams are really good. And on top of that, we cannot discount. Who Damian Lillard is. Y'all dudes just told me that when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So Damian Lillard Somebody who that's right. Damian Lillard has shown in the playoffs that after the first round, it gets a little tricky.
This is the worst version of Dame.
Not only does it get tricky, not only does it get tricky with Damian Lillard. Not only does it get tricky with Damian Lillard, we also can't discount what Damian Lillard is now. What Damian Lillard is now on defense. He was already bad back then. So now what he is today, are we saying that this Bucks team can protect Damian Lillard? Is that what we're saying?
All right, now it's my turn. Now here we go. Because I think you being a little OD right now, because if we're going to talk about Dame and Portland chat in the playoffs, let's get for real about the team. Let's really get for real about the team and what he was actually do. You are the same. You are the same person that tells me Luka has to do too much.
Correct.
And you can't win when you have to do too much.
Correct.
Dame had to do too much on those Portland teams.
Talk to him, J-Rob.
And it's not fair. And it's not fair to hold him on those teams that we know he couldn't get not a one true running mate to come there on that team. You're gonna tell me CJ McCollum.
Coming to go there. He said go there, chill. Don't do that.
Let's not do that. And look at CJ McCollum like he's a good player, but the reality is CJ McCollum's probably a 3. He's not a second best guy to bring you to the places where you need to go. On top of that, you're going to put Damian Lillard, and we know what Dame can be. Dame has shown us he can be clutch. He's shown you he can send a team home. He's also shown you he could beat a team when his team is the lesser team in a playoff series, because we've seen him send teams home when he clearly doesn't have the better team. You're putting him on a team with the second or third best player on the entire planet who is going to demand so much attention. I think what we are selling short is that Damian Lillard is the X factor that we know if he is the mystery in all of this. Because if he goes supernova, if he's shooting it from 35 feet, and I'm going to say another thing that people are not going to want to hear, the greatest shooter in the history of the game is 100% Stephen Curry.
Right.
But I'm going to say right now, when it comes to shooting from distance, Damian Lillard can hit that stratosphere at any point in a game. And if he's doing that on the world stage, along with having Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm taking that, bro. And what I think everybody also has to remember, on paper, the Celtics are better and things of that nature. However, y'all also, I think, disregarding the fact that the Bucks have championship pedigree too now. There's some teams that got championship pedigree too now.
They've been 100 years ago.
It's not 100 years ago. It was 2
It's been
years
2 years ago.
Wait, J-Rob, if we're going to do that, if we're going to do that, if you're going to go and take Dame's history into account, you also got to take into account that Drew Holiday has a history of locking up Dame. You got to take that into account. Drew has a history of locking up Dame. If we're gonna, that's fine. Kind of like how he brought up championship pedigree from years ago as well. From Dame's history from years ago as well. We're gonna do that. We gotta be consistent. We gotta be consistent with that as well. Drew Holiday has a history of locking up Dame in the postseason. He has a history of that. So if we're gonna go and do that, we gotta be fair about that with the Celtics as well. Like,
so you're telling me, with the attention that they're gonna have to put on Giannis, you think they're going to go in this situation? And this is where, again, let's get real about Portland. Because if we're going to be honest,
get real about him. Let's get real
he's
about
going to tell me that Drew was locking him up. Let's be real. The whole game plan was designed about Damian Lillard. Obviously, the primary defender was going to be Drew Holiday, but they wasn't leaving Dame on no island. So let's
yes, they were. Yes, they were. He got whoa. Stop right there, J-Rob. Stop right there, J-Rob. Because 100% he did get blitzed. Yes, he did get blitzed.
Come on, they're giving up. They're making him give up the ball.
He did get blitzed, but he didn't get blitzed every trip.
But majority of the you had to blitz him.
Drew Holiday had to stand in front of him at some point and play defense. You can't blitz the entire game.
Are they going to be able to blitz him? Are they going to be able to do that same defense that they were doing in New Orleans with Milwaukee? Can they
Absolutely
do that?
Not.
They cannot do that.
Why is it not crazy? Why is it crazy to believe they can? Why is it crazy to believe they can?
And on top of that, let's be honest. Drew is not the same guy he was in New Orleans that he is now. And the reason why they can't do that is because they blitz him. You're leaving the Greek freak open. And let's not sit here and lie and act like Kristaps Porzingis is stopping Giannis from doing what he wants at the rim. I know everybody loves Kristaps.
Nobody is stopping Giannis. Nobody is stopping Giannis.
Win a championship?
No. Look, here we go. You went
don't have a history of just not knowing how to scheme.
You went down a slippery slope for two reasons. One, it's not a problem when LeBron James does it, and I'm a LeBron guy.
Does what?
When LeBron leaves it to the end game for the guards to ice games with free throws and things of that nature, it's all good. And
keep going.
You talking about Doc Rivers? When Joe Mazzulla fails to call a timeout after the Bucks explode for a 20-point run in the basketball game, what are we going to talk about then? Let's talk about Joe Mazzulla, because Joe Mazzulla has not proved nothing to nobody either. And all we know, there's been time in and time out that this Celtics team is getting belt to you know what,
belt to ass.
And we looking, Coach, are you going to call a timeout? Coach, what's the adjustment? And let's be honest, this is a guy named Joe Mazzulla who sat in front of JJ Redick and said to the world that he's not changing his philosophy. He's only going to hope that his team adopts a better version of it. And this is my concern.
How's that work, by the way, J-Rob? But keep going.
And I was going to say, it's working.
Wait, wouldn't you be able to say the same? Wouldn't you be able to say the same thing about Doc Rivers, considering the fact that Doc has a history of not scheming?
Hold on, let me finish.
Keep going, J-Rob. Keep going.
Now, I understand it's working right now, because during the regular season. But my issue is this going to work when the pressure and magnitude intensifies? When what's going to happen when they're in a game 3 and Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown is settling for perimeter shots and can't find a rhythm, and he's in the corner like you don't like? Is Joe Mazzulla going to be able to stop the bleeding? Is he going to galvanize the troops? Are they going to be that? So I think if we're going to talk about coaching mysteries, we got to call it both ways, because I think there's still some real mysteries on Joe Mazzulla's end as well. And I think it's working right now, but is it going to work when the pressure is at its most intense?
So with that being said, J-Rob, who has the most history? So we got a dude who just got the job last year, right? Just got the job last year, was in the Eastern Conference Championship and down 3-0. Not only was he down 3-0, his job was on the line. His job was on the line. And they galvanized. 100%. They galvanized behind him. And those schemes work. So he's proven when it gets to the most pressure, he will not fold under pressure. Doc Rivers has way more history of showing us that more times than not, when it gets that way, we also got to put some blame on the players. I'm not just going to put all the blame on Doc.
Yeah, I get it.
We got to put some blame on the players, 100%. We got to put some blame on James Harden, on Chris Paul. But
he gets responsibility as well.
But Doc Rivers has shown us more times than not that when it gets ugly, he's going to fold. Prime example would be last year. You are in an elimination game in your building. In your building, you are in an elimination game. Close the game out. Took Jayson Tatum, who was having a horrific night scoring the basketball, to change the game and actually get them back to Boston in Game 7, where they ended up getting blown out, and he put 50 on them. We've seen time and time again Doc Rivers with his schemes, with his rallying. We've seen more times than not him folding. If I'm going to go between him and Joe Mazzulla, I've seen him fold more than I've seen Joe Mazzulla.
One thing you haven't seen Joe win, you haven't seen Joe win.
You haven't seen Joe win.
Thank
you.
It goes both ways.
As a year two coach,
The reason why you can't bring me that logic, Sturdy, is because you just told me not too long ago about Drew Holiday slowing down Damian Lillard 8 years ago, which it wasn't 8 years ago.
No, I'm using that logic. Y'all bring it back. Y'all brought it back.
NBA championship years ago. We can't do that.
Y'all brought it back. Y'all brought it back. I didn't want to do that.
And honestly, I mean, I hear what you're saying as well, but I mean, I'd argue. I mean, we've seen a first-year coach to coach the Celtics take that team farther, and I'd say they were better defensively with another guy that, if his personal life doesn't get aired out, he'd probably still be the coach. And so I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're 100%. I hear what you're saying, But again, I understand Doc's history, but I can't bank on Joe because he's a mystery. I don't mean to rhyme there, but you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's, I think there's two sides to this one. You could look at this both ways. And honestly too, I agree with you as well. Some of the players during Doc's tenure, you got to look at. You got to look at James Harden. You got to look at Joel Embiid getting hurt. There's a lot of factors. I look at all that. The collapse in the bubble. But truthfully, I think people are sleeping on this Milwaukee Bucks team, and they're finding their rhythm. And